Good evening, everyone. Welcome tonight. My name is State Representative Brad Halbrook from the 107th and founding member of the Illinois Freedom Caucus. We are here tonight because a Chinese company, Goshen High-Tech, wants to build a battery plant here in Manteno. Everyone is for economic growth. However, when you unpack this deal, it's clear that it's a bad deal for Illinois and it's a bad deal for Manteno. Goshen is a company with strong ties to the Chinese Communist Party. Tonight, my colleagues, some national experts, and I will go through some of the concerns that we have about this project. What I want to address here is why some are so eager to do business with China. The Chinese Communist Party is world-renowned for the history of its human rights violations. According to the U.S. Department of State, some of the abuses include coercive population control through forced abortion, forced sterilization, and involuntary implantation of birth control. The detention of more than 1 million Uyghurs and other minority groups into internment camps. Forced labor into facilities nearby or affiliated with the internment camps. And additionally, the destruction and closure of churches, mosques, and other religious sites, and the prevention of youth from participating in religious activities and forced political indoctrination or re-education. Goshen High-Tech is in line for $7.5 billion of federal tax credits over the next 5 years. And the state is kicking in an additional $536 million in subsidies to build this plant. The company is getting considerable tax breaks to construct a plant that will cost $2 billion to build. The total subsidies for the plant calculate to an astounding $3 million per job created. Why are U.S. taxpayers providing $8 billion in economic incentives for the construction of a plant that costs $2 billion to build? Why is a company with close ties to the Chinese Communist Party receiving more tax incentives than it costs to build this plant? The Goshen deal is a massive all-Democrat deal done behind closed doors. $125 million of the $536 come from Governor Pritzker's deal closing fund, which was legislation approved by the Democrats in January during lame duck session. The deal closing fund requires notification only to the Senate, President, and the Speaker of the House, without including minority leaders in the discussion or the decisions. This is a massive deal. Rev credits like EDGE credits are done with DECO and not open to public debate. This is the largest incentive package in business in decades, only exceeded in current dollar value by the Soldier Field expansion. Let's compare the deal closing fund portion, $125 million, to prior year's EDGE credits. In 2021, 223 companies received almost $226 million in EDGE credits. In 2020, 196 companies received almost $189 million in EDGE credits. Governor Pritzker touts Rivian, but their deal was $50 million, 10% of the amount slated for Goshen, and they were an American company. Illinois has lost out on 18 previous battery plants, including the Rivian plant that moved to Georgia recently. The question I have is, what was offered to these American companies and rejected? And if they had been offered $500 million, would they have located here? We need those answers. Additionally, we would like to go into this deal. Why would we go into this deal without proper disclosure requirements? Why would we subsidize this project with U.S. taxpayer dollars without the proper disclosure? Chinese companies are required to make disclosures and share their sensitive information with the Chinese government. What steps have been taken to protect proprietary information and protect our interest in this deal? Again, I've got nothing against jobs. We all want jobs, but blindly going into business with a company with direct ties to China is a risk not worth taking. In closing, Governor Pritzker is doing his level best to make Illinois the Western version of the People's Republic of China. He now has went so far as to give $500 million of our tax money to the Chinese communists. God bless America. God bless Illinois. God bless you, Manteno. And now for some words from Ryan, one of our local residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Manteno. I didn't hear you say it again. Let's go. My name's Ryan McAfee. The reason I'm here today is I believe the American dream will no longer exist if we allow Goshen to reside in Manteno. The CCP has slowly been infiltrating our farmlands and economics for years now, and it needs to be stopped. The American people need to wake up and take our country back. I have served our fine country for almost 19 years now. The American people have sat by and watched everything that transcribed itself. It needs to stop. Big time. I moved to Manteno 2.5 years ago in search of the American dream, and this town is where I found it. I am married with 5 kids and currently took on 2 more kids. So here it is, living in this town. I love it here. Now my feelings are scattered due to this cancer-causing factory moving into our town. I don't want my kids around that. I especially feel bad for all the families that have raised their own children for generations here. The mayor and his cronies have failed our town. They went behind our backs and voted for something we never wanted. The real question is, what are they hiding from us? How much have they lined their own pockets from this deal? If this factory goes through, is it going to poison the air, the groundwater which we drink from, and give people cancer? It has all been proven elsewhere in the world. And in summary, I will fight for our small town. It's the people for whom I swore an oath to. It is in my blood, and it is my honor to do so. I will be running for trustee against all these guys in here.
Hi, my name's Phil Nagel. I was born, raised in Manteno. My mom lives right down the road. My brother lives right over here. Manteno is my home, just like many of you here. After high school, I went into the military, right after 9/11. Do we have any veterans in here? Obviously, we have at least one. Thank you for your service. I want to ask you a question. Do any of you guys actually feel represented by the politicians in your district? No. No. Well, you guys can all affect that here in 2024, just side notes. Now I want to go into the military side of things. Like all you veterans out there, my son will be stepping up and commissioning in 2 days into the United States Army as a 2nd lieutenant. And as such, I expect the politicians to represent and do what's in the best interest of not only Manteno, Illinois, but the United States of America. Right now we have Governor Pritzker, we have Senator Joyce, we have Mayor Nugent, and then we also have Representative Jackie Hobbs is too scared to make a position on this whole debacle, right? We have these folks that we need to get out of office, and I'm sorry if I make this a little political, but it is political, right? It is, right? Elections have consequences. We're told that every single day by the Democrat Party. Elections have consequences. Well, it's time we step up and we change the dynamic of this state and we take back these seats, right? All right, so what can we all do, right? We have literally a CCP-backed company, right? One of America's #1 adversaries in the world. Geopolitical adversary #1 in this world, right? And guess what? The Democrats just gave them a seat in our backyard. 30 miles to the north, 30 miles to the south, there are United States military operations, or military installations nonetheless. We need to stop this before it gets going, and while we are led to believe that the deal is already done, I assure you it is not already done. There are enough moving pieces still that have to play out that we can stop this. But not one person in this audience can do it alone. It takes a group like all of you to step up every day, not just today, tomorrow, the next day. We have to make it so uncomfortable for them to want to set roots in this town that they say, we're done, we're out. And that, again, only happens when every one of you, just like you're here today, comes out and fights every day. This does not end today, it does not end tomorrow, it does not end 2024. If you guys want to call Manteno home and keep it home, then fight for it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carrie Rolniak. I've been a resident of this town for 19 years now. I've raised 3 children here, and I am disgusted at what is going on here. I found out about 5 days before Pritzker came to town about this. Had no idea. Someone had mentioned it to me. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, can't be in our town. Oh, sorry. I was like, what is going on? So I saw an article on Facebook. I decided to look up what Goshen really is. Is this what we want? People to swear their alliance to the CCP before they start their shift at work? You guys realize that?
Nope.
How many of you out there really like
Watch the
that?
movie. Watch the movie.
Exactly. We don't want that. We want people to walk in and do their job. We have laws that fight against work safety. If you ever watch on Netflix, there's a show called American Factory. Watch it if you haven't seen it, because it's going to show you a lot what's going to happen here.
Yep.
But oh, I'm so sorry. I'm very nervous.
I get it.
But this goes back to, why is our people that are supposed to be standing up for us in this town, why is it so quiet? Why? Why are they not saying anything? Make me understand why they're not. If this was supposed to be so good, they would be out here and they would be talking about it. They'd be explaining it to us. There'd be balloons hanging all over. Hey, 2,600 jobs. Guess what? When I went on that protest when Pritzker came in town that Friday, I went up to the front gates. We weren't allowed in. I walked back to my car, and guess what? When I walked past people, I said, please vote no against this. It's not good. Every single person looked at the ground. Why? 20 different people looked at the ground? There's something going on here. So we need to find out. We want answers, and we're going to have to fight for these answers. Where's all this water coming from? They're using millions of gallons of water to keep these batteries cool. Okay? So now, you use that water, now it's toxic. Where does the water go? Where's it going? We don't know, because they don't tell us nothing.
Exactly.
So these are questions that we really want to know. Then, what if there's an explosion?
Yeah.
What happens then? What about the fire department? Are they trained for this?
No.
Exactly. So we're going to put them in harm's way? And let's just say we do get our firemen trained. What about the other towns if we need them to come in? They can't help us. What are they going to do? I mean, these you have to let burn. So I live a half a mile from here, from the plant. And you know what? What am I going to do? Lose my house? Am I going to be evacuated? What fumes am I going to be breathing? It might even be hazardous to breathe every day. I don't know. Because we don't have these answers. Because everything is hush, hush. So I thank everybody for...
School is right there. Right
Exactly.
over the highway, the elementary
Exactly.
school. What is wrong with people?
I don't know.
Speak up.
Corey's right there.
Exactly.
Day class, we're going up.
So we need to find out the answers to this. And I appreciate everybody coming out today. I hope you guys continue to keep fighting with us, okay? God bless the USA. Thank you.
Hey, well, good evening, everyone. My name is Nick Icavella. My reason why I was called here today was on Jeannie Ives' radio show the other day. And can everybody hear me? I think we should turn up the volume a little bit. So I work for a trade association in D.C., and we only represent American manufacturers. So we're really the only people in D.C. advocating for American workers, and as you can imagine, we do a lot on the China issue. And I can tell you, well, first, let me just say, this is a beautiful town that you guys have here. And the fact that so many people came out here tonight and are working on this issue, that's the kind of thing that politicians, not just, down the street in the mayor's office, but in D.C., they need to hear that. They need to hear that there's real residents who care about their town, who care about the future of this country, and they don't want to see a Chinese factory built in their backyard. And a lot of people have said tonight that, Goshen is a Chinese company. And I like to remind people, my previous boss was chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee. We received many briefings on China. And I can tell you, the things that you learn, they do not, they're not good things that you hear about China and what they're doing. There's no such thing as a private Chinese company. So let's just get that out of the way. What's happening here is we're taking your tax dollars and we're giving them to the Chinese Communist Party.
Yes.
Right.
They already subsidize their own companies.
And why do they subsidize them? So that they can put American competitors out of business. Even if they promise to create jobs here now. I promise you, in a few years, they're going to take those jobs away because they've come here, they've stolen all they can, and they're going to ship the jobs back. And we're incredibly naive and stupid for giving them our taxpayer dollars. It should not happen. And part of the reason why this is even a problem is because Democrats in D.C. passed the Inflation Reduction Act against the wishes of the Republicans to put guardrails on preventing your taxpayer dollars from going to China. Our economics team, they did a calculation. $125 billion is set to go to Chinese companies because of the Inflation Reduction Act. $125 billion.
China Joe.
I mean, it's insane.
Let's go, Brandon.
And why do they say we need it? Because of climate change.
Climate change.
And that's what they're going to use this battery factory for. Everyone has to drive an EV, so we need to have a Chinese company to come in. Well, how about we invest that money and we have an American company make the batteries? I mean, since 2001, when we made the worst deal ever, we gave China most favored nation status, we have shipped 3.6 million jobs to China. Wall Street has gotten rich. Big companies have gotten rich. The Chinese have laughed all the way to the bank.
Oh, definitely.
And we have put so many good towns in this country into despair. And now we're offering them a handout to come here and say, build a factory here. This is a CCP company. Bottom line, we should never have American taxpayer dollars going to the Chinese. People say China's a threat. Our intelligence community, there's 17 agencies. These are incredible men and women who serve our country every day. They're not politicians. They will tell you that China is the #1 geopolitical near-peer adversary to the United States. What does that mean? They're building weapons of war to kill us. On our dollar. Thank you, whoever said that. They're exactly right. We're paying for this. It's a shame. And so thank you guys for coming out here today and showing that this is important to you. Because we need a lot more of you. We do. I think, do we have a question? Oh, no, questions at the end. Well, let me just say one last thing. I hope if this is your first time coming out tonight, please come out again. Tell 10 people that this is a problem. Every person needs to hear that you don't want this in your town. You should not have your tax dollars going to a Chinese company. And there's better pathways forward. We need to be supporting American companies, American workers. We should be building stuff in this country and not subsidizing the Chinese because their plan is to put us out of business. And we've been funding that for the past 2 decades, and look what's happened. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Pete Hoekstra, and I'm from the state of Michigan, and I'm here to help. I'm a former congressman. I used to be chair of the House Intelligence Committee, and I was a Trump ambassador to the Netherlands. But more importantly, over the last 7 months, my colleague Joe Sella and I have been fighting Goshen in Michigan. So I want to let you know you're part of a movement. You're not out here alone. We're going to beat Goshen in Michigan. Matter of fact, in 6 weeks, we're going to recall the local officials who voted Goshen into their community. You can never underestimate the power of grassroots. They work for you, you don't work for them. A long time ago, I ran for Congress. I woke up in the middle of the night and I said to my wife, I don't like what's going on in Washington. I think I'm going to run against the incumbent. She said, go back to sleep and you'll feel better in the morning. Well, I didn't feel better in the morning. And I ran a campaign. I was outspent 15, 20 to 1. But I ran it on grassroots. I got on my bicycle and I bicycled around what would end up being my congressional district. And the message was very, very clear. The incumbent had lost touch. And we, the people, said no, and it's time for a change. You can win, all right? This group, never underestimate the power that you have. And that is how America is supposed to work. It's great timing. He's putting an exclamation point on the power that you have to direct the future of your community. All right? We can do this. We can do it. From the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, I can tell you, hold up the sign, history lesson number 1. China is our enemy. They are not a competitor. They seek to destroy us and our communities. And don't ever forget it. And you have people who are doing non-disclosure agreements with the Chinese, who are doing business behind closed doors to do what? To destroy you and enhance China.
Traitor!
You can stop it. Lesson number 2. You know, this is, a lot of it's partisan here because of, the governor can do it by himself here in Illinois. In Michigan, you know, we put together, I think you're developing here, a bipartisan coalition or a non-partisan coalition to defeat this. Saving your environment is not a Republican or a Democrat issue. It's an issue for all of us. And there's a sign back there, and there's a sign right here. Save our community. Putting a 2,600 employee, maybe 2,600 employee, we'll see whatever happens, into your community will change the nature of your community. So from a national security standpoint, an environmental standpoint, a community standpoint, unite, and unite with the folks in Michigan. Okay? We're on different sides a couple of times a year when we play football. All right? But on any other day, unite with us, and we can defeat Goshen. We can save taxpayer dollars, and we can save America for our families and our kids. And I'd like to introduce my colleague, another former Trump ambassador, Joe Sullivan.
Long drive from Michigan, but we wouldn't have missed this. I wanted to just thank a couple of thanks at the outset. So my first engagement with this great community and all the people here happened through wire points and the offices of Ted Gabrowski and Mark Lennon. I was on the way to the Notre Dame football game 3 weeks ago. I called up Mark and I said, listen, we were where you're at now 7 months ago. And I said, we're all in. I said, whatever it takes, we're here to share our playbook, textbook, tactics, strategies for your advantage, and we'll be here with you through the end, whether it's remotely or here, boots on the ground as we are tonight. So also, certainly a big salute to the Illinois Freedom Caucus and the intrepid members of it. So the fight is just beginning here, and certainly the Coalition for a Prosperous America and all your great work, Zach, thank you for that. So it was really inspiring to pull into your beautiful town. I grew up in a small town similar to this, just north of Detroit, and to see your wall of heroes. The banners of heroes flying, that served and sacrificed in unique ways with their families before us and still do. And it was inspiring also to yesterday read the words of Ed Wagner, who I think is a local resident, and it really speaks to the status of things now. He says, they work for us, we don't work for them. And that really, I think, gets to the core of the matter of what has happened here, and that is that you're here because the consent of the governed has been ruptured. This is what happens when you have a hushed and rushed process. You have binding and punitive NDAs, no checks, no balances, and this is the fallout. This is a beautiful effect. This is a natural result, and we look forward to linking arms with you throughout this. You may have read the article by Rich Miller in the Chicago Sun-Times, where he's swinging for the rafters, describing his take on the status of things. And he says it's not the job of the state, it's the job of the federal government. Well, he needs to, Mr. Miller just needs to understand that our own Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, from the Biden administration, met with mayors. He met with mayors, again, not a partisan issue, bipartisan issue when it comes to national security. But even Antony Blinken says that mayors, supervisors, state legislators play a role in national security to track these very incursions and have an obligation. Our national intelligence agencies met in February of 2022. They summoned a bipartisan group of state and local elected officials saying, look, be aware, China's on the hunt through their private sector. Deals like this are coming down the pike. You have to be transparent, you have to be vigilant, you have to know what's going on, because these are subnational incursions, these are influence operations. What emanates from them, espionage, intellectual property theft, etc., no matter the target. So I am grateful for your perseverance. We're going to be here until the end. The great strides we've made in Michigan, I think, is an exemplar for you to follow. And I know Blaine and his legislative colleagues have already swung at the ball on some good legislation to block foreign incursions, and I know they'll continue to do it, and we're here to support. So thank you. God bless.
Hey, thank you very much. My name is Chris Miller. I'm the chairman of the Illinois Freedom Caucus.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why we're here tonight is to give a voice to the voiceless. And I know that you probably feel unrepresented, and we're here to represent you, even though we're from a long ways away. One of the things that we need to recognize as patriot Americans is that for some reason, the fight for freedom never ends. And, you know, we're in a doozy right now. But one of the good news is that we're not descendants of fearful men. And we've had courageous patriots go before us on issues just like this to stand for what's right. And it's time for for y'all to rise up here in Manteno. And because I got a feeling that Manteno's not for sale. About this, the only reason why we're here tonight is because of J.B. Pritzker, Joe Biden, and the Chinese Communist company Goshen that wants to build a toxic battery plant here in Manteno. This will cost $8 billion in tax incentives from our taxpayers. And this is all, now listen to me, this is all to fuel the climate crisis scam.
Yes.
Make no mistake about it, the climate crisis is a complete scam. And we the people need to start standing up against this nonsense. We are not having a climate crisis, but what we are having is a crisis of common sense. And it's time for we the people to stand up and tell the truth to the American people and the citizens of Illinois.
Yes.
All of us standing here tonight are for economic growth, as my colleague Brad Albrecht so eloquently mentioned earlier. But when you unpack this deal, it is clear that this is a bad deal for Illinois, it's a bad deal for the United States, and this is a bad deal for the citizens of Manteno. Is a company with strong ties to the Chinese Communist Party. Tonight, my colleagues and I will go through some of the concerns we have about this project, as we already have, and will continue to do. But what we want to do is for you to understand some of the things that China, that, as Donald Trump would say, is China, would actually stand for. But the Chinese Communist Party is world-renowned for a history of human rights violation. They have a long history of human rights violations. Their coercive population control through forced abortion, through sterilization, from involuntary implantation of birth control, the detention of over 1 million people in minority groups in internment camps and the forced labor facilities nearby or affiliated with internment camps. The list goes on and on and on when you think about the atrocities that go on in China. And not to mention that they just recently sent a spy balloon over the United States. They probably targeted Manteno where they wanted to be.
Oh, yeah.
But perhaps Manteno will be even a new launch pad for the next one. Who knows? But this is a travesty as we see this unfold. But the bottom line is we have to ask ourselves the question, because they're going to wave intimidation at you, and they're going to wave lots of cash at you. And the question has to remain, is Manteno for sale? And the bottom line is that every battery from this Chinese communist battery plant goes to feed this false narrative that we have a climate crisis. Every battery that goes out of here will help the Communist Chinese Party conquer the world. And we need to know that that's what that's all about. As many of you said, they are not our friend. And they are not our business competitor either. They are our stated enemies. And the third thing this does, it keeps kids in slave labor camps mining toxic rare earth minerals that is so toxic that no landfill in America will take those because they are so dangerous to deal with. And so just keep that in mind. We will not stand for this, and we know that the people of Manteno will not stand for this either. And I want you to know that the Illinois Freedom Caucus has your back. With that, I want to turn it over to Blaine Wellhauer.
All right, Brother Chris, thank you. Manteno, how are we doing tonight? All right, are you guys ready for the fight that's coming your way? Because it's coming, guys. And it's so heartening to see all you people out here today. That's commerce, that's industry happening right there. We need more of it right here in Illinois, don't we? But guys, this is how we do it.
That's a coal train.
This is how we affect change. Regular citizens, regular folks coming out, making their voices heard, standing up to a government that is unaccountable, that has gotten out of control, and has gotten so bad that we're doing deals with the Chinese Communist Party. So thank you guys so much for being out here tonight and making your voices heard. Like Chairman Miller said here, Chairman, I'm State Representative Blaine Wellhauer. I represent a district about 2.5 hours south of here, and it's my thank you. And it's my pleasure to be here tonight on this important issue here. And I kind of want to take a little bit of time here to address our thin-skinned governor's response to criticism on this project. And, you know, dealing with Governor J.B. Pritzker, like I've had the, I wouldn't say honor to do over the past 4 years, but I've had the task and the duty to do over the past 4 years. When you start getting insults from the governor of this state, you know you're pretty much over the target. And that's what we've been getting. This governor will not answer tough questions. He will not provide transparency. And the news media out here needs to make sure that they're doing their job to make sure that he does that, because we have legitimate questions. Manteno has legitimate questions, am I right? You know, and the governor seems to have a little bit of a limited vocabulary when it comes to responses. And anytime he faces the slightest bit of criticism, what do we hear? We're racist, we're xenophobes, you know, we're everything else. He dismisses, the governor has literally dismissed any questioning on this project. He was quoted recently in a Fox News article as saying that any questions on this project is basically it's unserious, it's political grandstanding, and we're here to tell the governor that our questions are serious and we're not political grandstanders. Is it unserious to ask why taxpayers in the United States and taxpayers in the state of Illinois are giving $8 billion to a Chinese company for a project that costs $2 billion? Governor, hey, guys, is that unserious? Is that an unserious, unreasonable question? I mean, unserious to ask or to inquire of this governor and administration why Illinois is ignoring the warnings of national security experts, including experts in his own, I don't know if they're experts, but people in his own administration. Is that an unserious question?
Why doesn't Illinois know all this?
That's right. I mean, do we consider political grandstanding to want our government to vet a foreign company coming in here and getting tax dollars? And it's not political grandstanding to ask that these companies go through the strictest scrutiny, to go through the Form 800, which is a very invasive form that would vet out a lot of the things that we're wanting to do. But no, we don't do that here in the state of Illinois. The governor doesn't seem to comprehend that the reason that people here in Manteno and other places are upset is not because of the Chinese people, it's because of the Chinese government, all right? There's a big difference. I mean, if we're xenophobic towards the Chinese people for raising questions about this project, then is he not also xenophobic for 2 years ago signing into law legislation to divest Illinois investments from companies tied to Russia? I mean, it works the same way. He can't have it both ways. And not only is Illinois divesting from Russia, which I support, but we've also divested. This state has a history of divesting from all kinds of companies. We've divested from Iran. We've divested from Sudan. We've even divested from companies that don't support the woke ideology that this governor and administration espouses. So we're not asking them to do anything out of the ordinary. But here's the deal. This deal was done behind closed doors, and to our knowledge today, and the governor refuses to answer any questions about this. There was no disclosures, and we've apparently just handed over literally $500 million in Illinois tax incentives to a company with ties to the CCP with little or no expectations on our end. I mean, who does this kind of stuff? It's the people that do this kind of stuff are the people that are desperate for a win. Not desperate to do what's right, but desperate for a political win. We would demand a heck of a lot more from a U.S. company getting these kind of investments. So why aren't we demanding more from a company with ties to hostile governments? I would tell the governor that instead of hurling nonsense insults, let's just provide a little bit of transparency and answer to some legitimate questions. Here's the deal. Goshen High-Tech's corporate bylaws, they literally require loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party, guys. It's written in there. Article 9 of its Articles of Association demands that Goshen set up a party organization and carry out party activities in accordance with the Constitution of the Communist Party of China. The company shall ensure necessary conditions for carrying out party activities. Is that the kind of corporate partner that we want, that we need in Manteno, in the state of Illinois? My colleagues have done a great job of outlining some of the human rights abuses of China and everything else. And to call China a bad actor is definitely an understatement. And, this is an issue that I've been passionate about in the legislature. But because of China's numerous human rights violations and threats to our national security, I actually introduced legislation last spring, House Bill 2984, to ban the use of public funds and investments or institutions tied to the Chinese Communist Party or the People's Republic of China. Now, this piece of legislation actually did get through committee, but it faced a very strange death on the floor of the House. But guys, it's time to wake up, and it's time that politicians in this state and around this country put the principles and the best interest of our country ahead of radical ideology. And that's what's driving this. Chris Miller was exactly right about this. This isn't driven from an economic perspective. It's driven by a radical ideology. Doing business with the CCP is basically like doing business with the Unabomber.
On steroids.
We should be approaching China as the geopolitical adversary they've proven to be. You know, and it's not time to roll out the red carpet for a country that's trying to destroy us. We need to do a lot of things. We need to ban, TikTok on government official accounts. We need legislation to prohibit China from buying farmland in the U.S. And we need to take steps to ensure that the products we purchase at the state level are manufactured in the United States of America and not in China, and not by Chinese companies. Let's put money where our mouth is on human rights. And we need to lead by example when it comes to China. J.B. Pritzker signed the law divesting from Russia because of the war in Ukraine. If we're condemning Russia, which we should, how can we not have the same policies in regard to the Chinese Communist Party? We say we're for human rights, we say that we're for national security, but not only are we blindly doing business with a company whose corporate papers pledge loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party, but we're handing over millions of taxpayer subsidies. And instead of getting a substantive response to legitimate questions, all we get from J.B. Pritzker is insults and hyperbole. Illinois deserves better. Manteno deserves better. And we need to put the brakes on this project until we get some transparency from the governor and this government on what's happening in our state with our tax dollars. And we're going to demand that. Illinois Freedom Caucus is demanding that. Our colleagues and our warriors over in Michigan are demanding that, guys. And I know, Manteno, are you demanding that? All right, hey. We're going to get this done because of the power of the people. When Everett Dirksen always, he once said that when politicians feel the heat, they see the light. This is bringing the heat, guys, and they're going to see the light. So keep in this fight. This is going to be a long struggle. This isn't going to happen overnight. Nothing in this state does, unfortunately, this good, at least. But we're in it with you, so let's get this done, guys. So thank you very, very much for being here tonight. And happy to take a couple questions.
Jeremy. Hey, Blaine, how you doing? Good, question for you, because you had mentioned Russia just now. Obviously, the whole news conference, everybody here it's about, everyone's here because of their opposition to the Goshen plant, a Chinese company, of course, that is, has communist ties. But how come Republican politicians are speaking out in opposition to that? But when it comes for money to go to Ukraine, U.S. money to go to Ukraine, Republicans are vehemently against that, even though that money is there to aid Ukraine against Russia, another country that is an authoritarian regime with communist ties. So, why is it, why is that okay to oppose money to Ukraine in its fight against Russia, but then you're in opposition here against China?
That's a totally different issue for one, Jeremy. I don't really see the connection between giving money to a company that's literally pledged loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party and giving money to Ukraine.
No,
that's the issue. That's the issue that we're facing here. We're literally giving $8 billion in U.S. taxpayer money for a $2 billion project to a company with clear ties to the Chinese Communist Party. Did you know that the Chinese Constitution requires that any company doing business in China discloses all their information with the Chinese military intelligence? I mean, doesn't that seem like a question that the media would want answered? I mean, we can ask questions about Ukraine all day long, but we're not talking about Ukraine. We divested from Russia because of Ukraine. We've done due diligence on that in the Illinois General Assembly. What we have not done is due diligence on China, and we're literally giving them money. So I think that we need to be asking, I think the press needs to do a better job, the Chicago Tribune needs to do a better job of demanding accountability from Governor J.B. Pritzker on this project.
Yeah, Blaine. My name's Kirk Allen, Edgar County Watchdogs. Is the Freedom Caucus going to attend the 6 o'clock meeting and speak during public comment and demand answers of the village?
I think that we have spoken out here. We've done our piece. We've stood with the people here. I think that it's time for the good folks in the city of, or in the village of Manteno to go into this meeting and, peacefully and appropriately demand answers from their local officials.
What's an acceptable alternative, Blaine, if, for 2,600 jobs, and if not the Goshen plant, what would be an acceptable alternative for 2,600 jobs in Manteno?
just
American.
where we're at is a hinge point in manufacturing policy, not only for the United States, but for the individual states. It really needs to be a policy, Illinois, Michigan, where when given an opportunity for economic development, we're working to do it in the USA with USA companies or with a friends and allies country, such as South Korea, such as Japan. They have battery manufacturing capacity with LG, Panasonic. Ford, for instance, is trying to build another plant in Michigan with cattle, Chinese-based PRC tied. And yet Ford has two plants in Tennessee and Kentucky with a South Korean company, which is considered to be an allied country. So really, considering the scaling threat and the adversarial nature of the Chinese Communist Party through their authoritarian government, we have to look to our shores first in terms of manufacturers, and if not, the quick second is allies and partners, and there are many of them as fallbacks.
Just want to get your response to this too, Blaine, or anyone. Democrats have been saying, well, in America, in the United States, and in Illinois, they've always done business with Chinese companies. How is this situation with Goshen any different?
Well, number one, we're giving taxpayer dollars, and we're giving a whole lot more taxpayer dollars than it actually costs to build the business. This would be a totally different conversation if we had a little bit of transparency from the governor as well. So that's ultimately what we're asking for. We're asking not to give money to our people who have basically pledged to destroy us. That would be number one, and just a little bit of transparency from our governor would go a long way, and I don't think that's an unreasonable thing.
And why did the Rivian battery plant walk away from us? What did we or did we not offer them that now we're offering Goshen? And shouldn't that have been the same consideration? We want to do business. We want to make batteries in this state. We've got this big fund, $1 billion. Why did Rivian walk away from us? And now we're going to subsidize the Chinese Communist government to come in here and build a plant.
And just to respond to what you said, Democrats are saying, well, we've done this for a long time. What makes this any different? You should be asking them, are they okay with what's happened for the last 2 decades? And if the answer is yes, then I hope that they're voted out of office. For the last 2 decades, we literally have had policies in place that have offshore jobs and production. The only reason that China is coming here now is because we made the stupid, naive mistake to allow them to get our taxpayer dollars. These are your dollars. I mean, that's what's going on here. And I hope nobody's okay with what's gone on for the last 20 years. Nobody in office.
We got 1 minute.
All right. Last question, Tony.
Chris?
And we'll take.
Chris, can I bring you up?
Chris.
Hey, will these jobs be filled by the illegal aliens coming here right now and undercutting our wages?
Of course they will.
We don't know the answer to that, but we'll see if we can find out, and we will find out in time.
I appreciate it.
Chris?
Media.
One of your colleagues, Representative Jackie Haas, is this her district?
Yes.
Part of the state.
Where is she? Everybody
No,
wants
part
to
of
know
the,
where
part of
she
this county is.
Okay, why is she not here tonight?
She's out of the country.
China?
She's in China.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
That's not a fair question.
She and her family are she's on a family vacation with her out of the country. I texted her last Friday, and she responded very graciously and said that she would not be back in time. I think it's incumbent upon all of us to relay our feelings to Jackie and give her an opportunity to hear what we all heard tonight from very credible sources, from people that understand this issue. And we need to give both sides, not just 2,600 jobs and $500 billion. So,
Manteno is no longer in Jackie's district.
No, she's got part of the county, though. All right, we need to wrap this up, Colin.
Thank you, guys.
There you go.
Okay, we're going to stick around and mingle with the residents of Manteno media. That'll conclude the press conference. Thank you all for being here. We'll stick around, take questions down from the audience. And the media will mingle around, but media, that'll conclude the press conference. Okay, thank you very much.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
No, that was the huge difference. Because last year, like, I just want to get it. That's the only way I sleep in the car, sleeping with that. So this time, I'm like, all right, I'm being kind of tired. Like, I want to get a feed. Now I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, is it honestly, like, yeah, it's not. 3 people, that's it, yeah.
20?
Good evening and welcome to the Manteno Village Board meeting for Monday, October 2nd, 2023. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and if we could all please rise for the pledge of allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, Roll call, please.
Boyce. Martin.
Here.
Joel. Yes. Crockett. Geske.
Here.
Phillips.
We have a quorum tonight. As always, we have the minutes from our previous meeting. We have the minutes from our September 18th, 2023 board meeting that are included in everyone's packet, and hopefully everyone has had the opportunity to review them. Are there any changes, additions, deletions, corrections? Seeing none, I accept the motion to waive the reading of the minutes and approve them as presented by the clerk.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Phillips. Second. Second by Martin. Roll call.
Phillips.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Boyce.
Yes.
Joel. Yes. Geske.
Motion carries. Before we go into public participation, I want to read a press release that we'll be passing out to the news media that's here from the Village of Manteno in regards to some facts around the Goshen deal. Here are the facts of the Goshen decision to locate new state-of-the-art $2 billion electric vehicle lithium battery manufacturing plant in Manteno, Illinois. The Goshen state-of-the-art lithium battery plant will span approximately 150 acres at what is currently the abandoned Kmart warehouse site and will significantly help bolster the supply chain to meet the growing need for batteries across the EV sector. The $2 billion gigafactory will create 2,600 good-paying jobs, and as Governor Pritzker has stated, is the most significant new manufacturing investment in Illinois in decades. Real estate taxes on the site will increase 105% over the current level, ultimately up to $2 million per year over 30 years. At that point, this project will generate more real estate taxes than any other property in Kankakee County. All 10 taxing bodies approved this agreement in August. EV batteries and the vehicles they power will play a major role in reducing carbon emissions, marking significant strides in our nation to improve the environment and address climate change. This plant will be situated about 10 miles from the Kankakee River and so poses no threat to polluting the waterway. The U.S. subsidiary of Goshen, located in Fremont, California, will operate the new plant. There are a number of major Chinese EV battery manufacturers successfully and safely operating in the U.S. and supplying U.S. automakers. As NBC News noted in the July report, China is by far the global leader in making EV batteries, which it is able to do at lower costs, thanks to the dominance over the supply chain and raw materials such as lithium and cobalt. There is no evidence that Goshen has engaged in espionage or poses any security threat to the United States. It is important to note that 252 Chinese companies are listed on the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, and the Chicago Stock Exchange. What we should be concerned about is the way that polarized politics, with its baseless assertions and accusations, is hijacking education, science, and medicine, and now economic innovation and resilience in our nation. Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford Motor Company, said back in May that if localizing China's battery technology in the U.S. gets caught up in politics, the customer is really going to get screwed. With that, the public comment section will open. And just a reminder, I've read this at the last meeting, and I'll read it again. Public comment is a time for you to address the board with comments. This is not a question and answer session. If you have topics that you'd like to be addressed individually, you can contact the village administrator during normal business hours to set up an appointment. He will attempt to address those concerns to the best of his ability. Each commenter will be limited to 3 minutes, and we ask that if your comments have already been made by a previous commenter, that you don't continually repeat the same comments.
You're mumbling.
Say what we
With
want.
that, the first person on the public participation sign-up sheet is Bill Barnes, 170 East Division.
Thank you. Good evening. I came prepared this time. Being a lifelong resident of Kankakee County and having lived in Bradley, Bourbonnais, and Kankakee, I moved to Manteno 2.5 years ago because I liked the fact that the administration put the taxpayers' money and some of the funds gained from the sale of the water system back into the infrastructure and the appearance of the community. As I'm sure with most of the people attending tonight, I'm here to speak out against Governor Pritzker's, Mayor Nugent's, and the Board of Trustees' secret deal with a hazardous materials manufacturer that many other Illinois municipalities and their residents said no to. Just 10 days ago, Ford said their plans to build a mega plant with another Chinese lithium battery manufacturer in Michigan was put on hold. I looked carefully through the agenda of this year's board meetings, and I did not see one mention for open public discussion about Goshen, which is what any honest village would do, so the people who pay the taxes and raise their families here could make their voices heard. None of you gave the residents of Manteno will be the ones most negatively impacted by this deal, the courtesy or the right to know about this up front. I would implore all of you to really think about rescinding this decision to allow a highly volatile and toxic manufacturing facility to locate right in the center of this community within just 1,000 and 2,000 feet of hundreds of homes and several thousand residents, because this decision will only lead to Manteno's demise. All one needed to do was do a little research on what took place in Morris, Illinois 2 years ago. At the small battery, not automotive battery, lithium battery plant there, when caught fire and burned for days, leading to hundreds of residents having to evacuate their community. I have spoken to fire, safety, and emergency management professionals from several counties since this announcement was jammed down the people's throats. Not one of them, even one I talked to today who lives in Manteno and is a firefighter up north, had anything positive to say about this news. In fact, they said separately, I wouldn't want that thing in my town. In closing, I would ask you to really look inside yourself and say, or ask, is this what I really want my legacy to be to my friends, neighbors, and residents who came to Manteno for a simpler and safer place to live? Thank you.
Fatima, 1199 Fawn Circle.
That is a lovely sound for baby. Yes. And we're hopeful there'll be many more in this village. But the way it looks, it's a question. I have a quote here, and it's from a very, great man, Thomas Jefferson. Timid men prefer the calm of despotism to the tempestuous sea of liberty. That kind of sums up what we're dealing with here. A community that feels no one listens to it. The despots are definitely around. And it's frightening to some of us. I look at the newspapers. I had many articles in the last month in the Daily Journal. Everything is pointing to, oh, it's a done deal. Oh, there's nothing more to do. Well, I disagree with that. There's always something we can do. And I would hope this board would rescind that vote to accept this company. And this company is run by the Communist Party in China. No question about it. There's no freedom in China. And we ourselves need to have that freedom. Why did I move here? My husband and I have lived here 19 years. We left Chicago. We left Oak Lawn. Why did we do that? We just felt things were not going the way that they should go in America. And then we moved here, and it was heaven on earth. Except, as Thomas Jefferson said, it's a tempestuous sea, liberty. You have to fight for it. We can't just let things happen. And so that's why I'm here.
God bless America.
And I agree with that.
Gardner, 878 Beauchamp Avenue.
Good afternoon. My name is Harry Garner,
and I moved here to Manteno about 4 years ago from LaGrange. LaGrange is a very crowded and congested area. A lot of traffic. I love the small town atmosphere here where the people aren't afraid to wave hello or say hello, and they do it regularly. That will all change with your decision to move a CCP lithium battery plant into this community. I am a Marine Corps veteran who held a top secret security clearance at the National Security Agency. I was stationed at Fort George E. Meade, where the NSA is, and I was stationed inside the NSA. Where the United States is at a precipice, not only culturally but militarily. There is no bigger national security threat than China. China is on the hunt in Michigan and now in Illinois and across the USA. There will be an effort by the Chinese Communist Party to infiltrate using business and engineers to spy on our capabilities and discover our weaknesses. The China economy is not doing well, and as they rally around their flag, they prepare for war against the West. Unlike our children, who are schooled in radical gender ideology and woke policies, their children are trained for war and are fully battle ready at a very early age. They are laser focused. It is suspected that China will invade Taiwan around the time of the 2024 presidential election, and President Biden has warned China that we will defend it. China has been acquiring land near strategic U.S. interests, such as military bases and other critical infrastructure. The Braidwood Nuclear Power Generating Station is less than 20 miles from the proposed site of the Goshen Battery Plant and serves Chicago and northern Illinois with electricity. What's to stop them from espionage? What's to stop a cyber attack in case of a war? If we go to war with Taiwan, and it will be with, not with Taiwan, but with China over Taiwan, what will stop them from trying to sabotage our infrastructure? The U.S. has spent billions, nearly 50 billion in security aid to Kiev, draining our munition supplies, many of which are manufactured in China or India. The U.S. has slashed defense to a third of where it was in 1985, and our manufacturing of different things in our skilled labor force is sorely lacking. I think this is a terrible idea to put this plant here. I don't trust the Chinese, both as a veteran, as an American citizen. I think you're making a terrible mistake bringing this plant in. I think Pritzker's wrong. I think you're wrong. And I think you should reconsider the whole damn thing.
Amelia Cahill from the same address of 878 Beauchamp Avenue.
I have lived in Manteno for 26 and a half years. I decided to buy in this area because I felt it was a safe and nice community that I could retire in. I am retired now and commuted to downtown Chicago for 9 years and drove to Oak Brook for 5. I thought Manteno was worth the long commute. I am retired from ComEd and don't think it is a wise decision to put a communist Chinese plant so close to Braidwood Nuclear Station. I really feel that all of you that think it is okay to have a communist Chinese company here did not do your homework. You are willing to jeopardize the health of everyone in Manteno and also surrounding areas. You had the opportunity to have John Deere expand here, but I think you were all bought out by more money from the Chinese. I despise people that can be bought. You deliberately kept these decisions under the radar so no one in Manteno really knew what you were doing. You are also not thinking about the value of our homes. Maybe people won't want to move here because of Goshen, and all the money we invested will be a giant loss. Also, why am I wearing this mask? Everyone might think COVID is gone, but they are all in denial. I wear this mask when I go out so I don't give the gift from China, COVID, to the people I know and love. When I go shopping now, if the item I was looking at is made in China, I won't buy it. You should be ashamed of the fact that you want to reward China with a piece of the United States. They don't deserve it. I am standing here telling you these things for all the people of Manteno that are afraid to confront you or don't have a clue this is happening. For all we know, anything we say to you won't matter because it is a done deal. What are you going to do with that plant when the all-electric joke doesn't pan out? I guess all those so-called high-paid jobs will be lost. If this company comes to Manteno, I will probably move away from here. I have had cancer once, and I don't want the possibility of getting sick again from a toxic company. I love my home, but I will have to make that hard decision because of your choices. If Pritzker likes Goshen so much, tell him to put it in his backyard.
5266 West 9000 North Road.
My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge because thou hast rejected knowledge. Hosea 4:6. I'd like to read a series of headlines. I'll give the newspaper source, the news source, as I go along. I won't go into depth on them. Suspected Chinese spies disguised as tourists tried to infiltrate Alaskan military bases. USA Today. The Chinese-Mexico fentanyl pipeline increasingly sophisticated and deadly. The Guardian. Chinese gate crashers at U.S. bases raise espionage concerns. Reuters. Disturbing California biolab shrouded in mystery as Chinese links emerge. Fox News. This week, Chinese hackers are hiding in routers in the U.S. and Japan. Wired magazine. Right now, the Chinese are doing what's called fifth generation warfare, if you're not aware. It's conducted through non-kinetic military actions such as social engineering, misinformation, cyber attacks, economics, along with emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence and automated systems. J.B. Pritzker called the folks behind me and in the other room the xenophobes. I call them aware. They know what's going on. There's an ancient Chinese proverb, some say a curse, it says, "May you live in interesting times." May you live in interesting times. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Let me just scooch this close. A little hard to hear. First off, I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to come here and express my concerns. If you'll notice, I didn't write anything out because I'm speaking from here. Okay? Also, I'd like to express that I saw one of the members of this board laughing at an individual speaking who they're supposed to represent. That is unacceptable. You do not laugh in our face. I just hope you understand that. Let me digress from the CCP. Okay? Let's talk about health. I live 1 mile north in Eagles Landing from this plant. All right? Most of you are familiar. The winds blow out of the west and head straight east. What happens to plumes of poisonous gas blown towards the elementary school and South Creek most of the time? If we look at Morris, it was just a storage facility. Just storage. Not manufacturing, just storage. How did they extinguish that blaze, Mr. Nugent? they have to suffocate it with concrete. Are any of our first responders equipped?
Nope. No.
That $2 million in revenue can't even afford one new standard fire engine in this day and age. A phone truck will not extinguish this. This is called thermal runaway. There are videos of backhoes and cranes dropping blazing Teslas into ponds, and this thing is still blazing under the water. They had to be suffocated with concrete. In the event it gets completely out of control, where are the residents of South Creek and Eagles Landing going to go? That's if we're even given notice. How many companies regulated by OSHA and any other occupational standard try to sweep accidents under the rug? What would happen to the groundwater supply during a spill? Because let me tell you, I'm familiar with the industrial spill protocol, and these socks that are supposedly sucking up oil and other contaminants are not. It's a joke. Once it hits the soil, it's there. Think of my son. He's 6 years old. Gina Halper's son is 6 years old. Her older son is 11. If you allow this, Mr. Nugent, I will be your age helping them clean this mess. Thank you for letting me say
Yeah. I just want to bring the presence of God into this room because that's who I go to when I want to fight evil. So I would ask everybody to say the Lord's Prayer with me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And deliver us from evil. Deliver us from evil. Amen. Thank you.
That's Lutheran and Catholic, they say.
I know that.
Diana Baker, 2921 Chippewa Drive in Bourbonnais.
Hello, I'm a native of Manteno, I'm a county resident, and I am an American patriot. By allowing a communist Chinese battery plant onto our soil, you, the village board of Manteno, are failing more than just the people of Manteno. You're failing our country. And it's sad to say that the majority of the Illinois state and federal governments currently in power are also failing the American people. It's increasingly obvious that the majority of current politicians now make their decisions based upon money rather than the benefit of the people. And many are only in office to enjoy the financial gains they can reap for themselves and their cronies, regardless of how it hurts the American people.
Exactly.
Serving in a government position is not supposed to be about gaining insurance benefits, income and retirement benefits by filling a seat and by casting a vote on occasional topics. It is about possessing morals, ethics, and faith in God, and especially doing your due diligence. You know, that pesky part about educating yourself before you make important decisions. You are expected to do what is right for the well-being of the people, not yourself, and to hold the line, especially in the face of adversity. Our Constitution states that those who fail to protect the sovereignty of the United States of America are deemed treasonous. For those who don't understand what sovereignty is, it's the concept of having independence within your borders while possessing the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness without someone ruling over you. I am disgusted that the Biden administration has not been held accountable for their treasonous acts of allowing an open border threatening our sovereignty. I'll repeat that. I am disgusted that the Biden administration has not been held accountable for their treasonous acts of allowing an open border threatening our sovereignty. And I question the corruption of all three branches of federal government who are supposed to be providing the checks and balances that prevent such a thing from happening in the first place. And now, here we are in Manteno, allowing for another threat to our sovereignty by even more treasonous government officials. You are placing our energy dependency on a foreign enemy and bringing them onto our soil to do it. You are also exposing every one of us to the contamination of our soil and water, and you're threatening the overall health of the entire community. And all for money? Really?
Really?
Judas.
The elected officials have power only if we give it to them and continue complying. It is time for the people to rise up and say no more. There are millions of Americans in this country who are allowing a few thousand to control us and ruin the safety and freedom so many of our ancestors have sacrificed their lives for. Every American should be thanking God every day that our forefathers didn't take the same attitude that many people are taking today. Oh, there's nothing we can do. It's a done deal.
No, it's not.
If our forefathers would have done this when the British gave their orders to the colonists, we wouldn't be here today with our freedom. Are your grandkids going to be able to live in a free country, or are you just going to continue sitting back and let your American freedom, health, and safety be destroyed? Our government representatives work for us, the American taxpayers. I ask you, the village board members, to atone for your mistakes and reverse your votes. Stand with us in protest. Let's keep communist China and their dangerous chemicals out of our common.
North 4000 Road, Manteno.
He's coming. He's coming. He's coming.
Good evening. Though I don't live in the town of Manteno, I'm part of the township of Manteno. I'm a farmer that lives and works farmland adjacent to what was formerly both of the Sears warehouses. What I want to address tonight is a real estate issue. You mentioned that all 10 taxing bodies agreed.
Hey, quiet!
There's one taxing body you forgot, and that's the one who pays the bill. So there should be 11th representative that's a citizen of the township. When you look back 30 years, 20 years of the development basically on the east side of Manteno, the Sears warehouses and subsequent companies in Versatech, they have not really added to the support of the real estate taxes of Manteno. We know the school, for me, the school district taxes, the fire department taxes, they will all be short under this agreement with Goshen. If you look at our past assessments this past year, the state arbitrarily said there was a catch-up of 10%. So they increased our taxes 10% without consulting us. You guys are, the taxing bodies don't consult the payers, and they need to. Goshen shouldn't get a free ride on my back where I have to pay for increased fire department coverage. Goshen is not going to pay it for the next 30 years. We, the village people, are paying. So please put in your scenario to add another taxing body, the ones who pay the bill, for their scenario. Taxes are not meant to be a income part of the village. Thank you.
Jefferson Street.
Good evening. I know I'd like to address you all. I want to individually here. It's your conscience. We've all been given a God-given conscience. And what I see is you all here tonight, we have a company what's coming into this town, which is basically hazardous, communist run, and all that. And what I think what's happening here is you all are getting your pockets lined with finances. Let me give you some I'm going to step out of the conversation now and give you what God's Word says in a lot of this, what's going on. First of all, in 1 Timothy 6, 9 through 10, those who desire to be rich fall into many temptations, into a snare, into senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. The love of money is the root of all evil. Secondly, you are considered our elected officials. In Exodus 18:21, it says, look for able men from all the people, men, one, who fear God, who are trustworthy. I don't see trustworthiness in this room right here. And hate a bribe. And place such men over the people. We want people who are trustworthy. Next, Proverbs 22:1 says, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, and favor is better than silver or gold. What's going to be in the center of your life? What you're doing here tonight, or what you're trying to do with this company, what's your legacy going to be when it crumbles, when people die senselessly or run a town into the ground? Another thing is, when the righteous increase, the people rejoice. When the righteous increase, the people rejoice, but when the wicked rule, the people groan. I see a lot of groaning people here tonight, which is, you don't want to be associated with as wicked people, do you?
Yeah, like they do.
A ruler who lacks understanding is a cruel oppressor, but he who hates unjust gain will prolong his days. Two more last things and I'm done. Proverbs 10:2 says, treasures gained by wickedness do not profit, but righteousness delivers from death. And I'd like to say, Proverbs 1:7, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, and fools despise wisdom and instruction. And I hope you all aren't fools. But what I see, what's going on, you better fear God, put God first. This nation was built on godly principles. Don't let your conscience be seared, which means it's being pressed down for unrighteousness. You don't want that.
Pieces of silver.
Hey, Chris, I'll put your handies out. Each trustee and the mayor, and everybody can look at this. There's 2 pages, maybe one on each side. You guys are all getting letters. Went from Marco Rubio to Secretary Yellen. It'll tell you exactly about all the stuff with China. Obviously, nobody here ever read the bylaws of Goshen. There's 97 pages of it.
You don't want one? You don't care? You don't care how we feel?
They're all out there.
They don't care.
But the idea that you can sit here and do a little speech when the news reporters are here, but you won't answer one question for us. I did call this week to get on the agenda, and I was told we don't put individuals on. Why? I'm not sure, because maybe you'd have to answer a question. But every trustee right here, sitting down here, does any one of you know what's going on? Or did you, again, just sign this? I mean, you can't look at anybody. We're all your neighbors.
They all need to be gone.
Actually, Tim, I think you should resign tonight. I think you should walk out. I have a quote today, too. This happens to be your quote out of the Kankakee Journal in August. It says, if it's not good for the community, we're better off to leave it as is. And you tell me that these group of people don't love this community and this nation. And you sit up here and you don't want to say a word to any one of us. Every trustee won't say a word. We can't ask a question.
we can leave comments. We get to listen to your comments, but they're never the questions we want to hear. And answer. What about answering our real questions? Just don't sit there. I mean, I know it's for comments, but, you guys can all read, so you might want to read that. But why can't you answer questions? Why does it have to go through Chris? We can go to Chris's office. We can sit there, and he's going to tell me exactly what you're telling him to tell me. Because nobody on this board has got any balls to speak up against you. There's no balls sitting at this table to speak up. I just can't believe, maybe all of you ought to just get up and get your asses out of here.
Really? Yeah.
All I know is you should be ashamed of yourself. Because when I was reading, you knew it, you kept your mouths quiet, and you just snuck this through.
Yep.
And I also talked to a state rep that told me this was a quiet deal set up through J.B. Pritzker on his own, and you were the sucker to take it on in.
Yeah, right.
So you should be ashamed of yourself. Look in the mirror and go, boy, I was really sucked in. Because you were.
No comment. They can be humble and say they will talk. They can't be humble and say
Thank
they
you.
will.
Born and raised in Manteno, and I know how decisions were made in this town. I'm not new here. I recently started my 33rd year of teaching, and despite what you may believe, there are teachers out there who are encouraging our youth to make good decisions based on facts and common sense. And I'm one of those teachers. In light of what's been going on in the past few years with politics in general, I've never been political, but I've started collecting old history books because I feel like it's really important, more so now than ever, to understand how our government is supposed to work, to learn those definitions that have been changed over the past few years and see the manipulation that we're all having to endure in our current day. In reading one of those history books, I was struck by the words of Theodore Roosevelt in his address to the Constitutional Congress of Ohio in 1912. And this book was from 1917, by the way. So even then, it was really important. Unless representative government does absolutely represent the people, it is not representative government at all. And I'm not sure what you think your job is, but recent decisions regarding this lithium plant do not represent the people of our community. In fact, this board has done more to represent the governor of our state and a foreign-owned battery manufacturing plant than it has the people who live here. As servants of the people, you have failed miserably at your jobs. Here's another quote by Teddy Roosevelt. It is a false constitutionalism to give the people full power and at the same time trick them out of it. Now, I don't remember a time in recent years that we've been given full power for anything. Decisions are made for us. But I do feel like we've been tricked. I'm pretty sure that's what's happened here. I've looked through recent agendas, I've looked through minutes, and I have yet, maybe they're there, I've yet to see any mention of Goshen, the Kmart building, lithium batteries, or China.
If they're there,
So if this business arrangement wasn't discussed publicly, where was it discussed? When was it decided? Shouldn't we have a say in with whom we're sharing our resources? Roosevelt referred to people like you in his address. He warned that by tricking the people, the officers created by the people and the rightfully servants of the people can set themselves up to become the masters of the people. And I feel like that's what's happening here. What other secrets have been kept from us? The fact that we're going to be providing housing for all those foreigners who come to work here. I'm sure somebody in Manteno is going to be making a lot of money doing that. Or an agreement that foreigners will be able to mine our resources while Americans cannot. I don't know. We can only imagine because you're not answering questions or telling us any of the facts regarding this decision. And I'm going to close by addressing the mayor personally. First, your role as the president of the Economic Alliance is a conflict of interest with the office of mayor. For business purposes, they have nothing to do with what's good for us. And you've made it clear what kind of man you want to be.
Roosevelt warned the people at the Ohio Constitutional Convention that you cannot get good service from the public servant if you cannot see him. You, sir, avoid us. You claim to represent us, and you avoid us. Maybe you don't want to be confronted. Maybe you don't want to answer questions. And if that's the case, maybe you are not the right mayor for our town.
Anna Kaminsky, 2364 East Watson.
Hello, everybody. I have nothing prepared. I moved to Manteno over 30 years ago. I left the city of Chicago for a small town that I could get to know my neighbors. I could go to the grocery store and know the cashier, and go to the library and take out a book from the librarian, and the gas station, and the bar for a beer. This is not a good thing for Manteno. The zoning has to go from light industrial to heavy industrial, and I believe that has to be voted on. If these are the members that have to vote on that, I ask that you please reconsider and put this on a referendum for the people of Manteno to decide what is best for them.
Gates, 1640 Carriage Lane, North.
Good evening. I may not reside in Manteno, but I'm not far away. My perspective tonight is a little bit different than what you've heard already. I am a first responder family. We have active duty fire, we have active duty military, we have active duty police officers. So I look at things a little bit different when it came to this plant. And I was astounded when I went back through every town meeting, every board meeting, and there was no mention of what you were planning. I've been tracking Governor Pritzker for years, so his part in this did not surprise me at all. I'm just surprised at all, and it's a shame. But I'd like to leave you with some facts. According to IFCA, Chief Michael O'Brien of the Fire Service is facing unknown challenges in light of the increase in lithium-ion batteries. He spoke of the need for integrated safety systems to be in place for community risk reduction and to ensure the safety of the first responders as they respond to fire and accidents that are battery involved. Since lithium batteries cannot be extinguished by water or chemical foam, or by something put under the car and punctured to inject foam, or a fire blanket put over the vehicle, which only puts the fire out but does not cool the thermal mess going on underneath. I'd really like to know how you're going to give the skill set that all of the first responders are going to need to be trained in. This is the head of the Fire Chiefs International. You can look it up on YouTube and listen to what he has to say. He's totally bipartisan. He's not speaking from a point of politics or money. He's speaking in regards to the safety of the people that he took a pledge to protect and the communities that he took a pledge to serve. And he's trying to enable the fire service across our nation and globally to know how to deal with this threat that is coming, because technology is way beyond what the testing and what the protocol for safety is being required. It's not there. He goes on to say, what is known is that they must have their PPE, personal protection equipment, as well as their SCBA, self-contained breathing apparatus, prior to approaching the fire due to toxic vapor and smoke that is uniquely from lithium-ion batteries, carbon monoxide, hydrogen cyanide, hydrophosphoric acid, and cobalt poisoning can all be released during the thermal runaway of a lithium-ion battery fire. The required technology presents different risks and needs different kind of mitigation.
And we wrap it up. The time is up.
See what they do? They don't know what you're talking
You know,
about. She didn't use all of her 3 minutes, let her
I'm not
finish.
surprised. I've been here the whole time, and I've watched other people stand here and talk a lot longer than I
Well,
have.
I'm just-
But that's
You don't wanna
fine.
hear it.
I made copies. I'm gonna give them to you.
Yeah.
If you don't read them, that's on you. But I spent weeks and months doing this research because I care about our first responders. I care about my son who's a firefighter. I care about my nephew who's a policeman. And you don't have the due diligence to take time to listen to actual fact and know what's going on and what that is going to present to our community. You don't have the time. I'm sorry for you. I really am.
Really?
And I will pray for you that God speaks to your heart and gives you a conscience. And you can go ahead and smirk behind your hand.
Yeah.
That's such an embarrassing. You should be better than that.
So be humble, say you were wrong. Be humble.
Thank you, sir. My name is Kirk Allen, I'm co-founder of the Edgar County Watchdogs. I want to address a couple of transparency concerns. Your agenda on the door is much different than the agenda being handed out here.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Your agenda online for tomorrow's zoning meeting, under number 4, it says action items, and there's nothing there. That tells the public you're not taking any action. Is that true? If that's true, then great. But if it's not, this agenda is much more detailed than what you have posted on the door.
We'll be there at 7 o'clock.
That's problematic from a transparency standpoint. The other thing, and I appreciate that you allowed me to speak, because I didn't put my address on there. The Attorney General has opined on that. I know you didn't make it a requirement, because I am speaking. But putting people's address on a sign-in sheet creates a list. What's that list used for? Who can use that list? You're publicly reading into the record these people's home addresses. Think about that for a minute. When you submit a FOIA request to a public body, their address is private information. It's to be redacted. It's not subject to FOIA. Why are you asking them to put it on a sign-in sheet? That needs to be changed.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to address. This comes from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of public meetings where we go and speak for people that are literally intimidated by some folks, so they don't speak. When you don't, and I know Open Meetings Act doesn't require you to answer, I understand that. That's a failure of the legislature, in my opinion. There are some laws like county code and universities and schools, they are required to answer questions. And we can get you that citation. That needs to be in the municipal code as well. But my point is, when you don't answer, what happens is you force their assumption to be what they want it to be. They may be right, but they may be wrong. But when you don't engage or set up a time for that engagement, you create more division, more tension, more unknown. And that is never good for a community. And I have seen it tear communities apart over and over and over. These are your neighbors. These are people that you have known for years. Do not divide this community because you don't want to answer a question. Set up a time for these people to get questions answered. We went through this with the College of DuPage, and they actually set up a program where people could submit questions, and although they weren't being answered on the spot, which I don't think that's necessary in most cases because there's research that needs done, but they got answers for those people and posted the answers online so that everybody could see them. That's transparency. I beg of you to focus on the transparency because it appears there's not a whole lot of it. Thank you.
Deborah Kerr, 663 Lindsay Street.
Good evening. I know that you all feel you don't have to answer to us, but you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you,
and you, and you, and you, and you, and you will have to answer to somebody.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. Amen.
Oh,
Amen.
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 Yeah.
The next commenter is Dolly Carson, 1257 Whitetail Drive.
She just said it said South Creek. But anyway. Okay, so, I just want to stress that the people of Manteno, we see and we hear everything that goes on. We know who benefits the most from things in this community. You may not see us come to these meetings, but I think that's a testament to how much we've trusted you. We may grumble that we have too many banks, too many gas stations, not enough restaurant choices, and we grumble about the mayor picking and choosing the companies that he wants in these towns so we can retain that small feel, which we all love.
Yes.
But we're drowning in our increased property taxes from year to year. That's another story. Never once, though, at least in my opinion, do I think that you've given us reason to distrust you. Never once have we feared that you would put our health and lives in danger until now. It saddens me to think that for all the good you've done for this community, this is going to be your legacy. This is what you want. This is your big bank. So, when we have an explosion at the plant, or we have negative health pandemics because of it, well, Mr. Mayor, your name is going to be on everybody's lips, and their blood is going to be on your hands.
Yes.
What a legacy to leave. Allowing this plant to potentially play Russian roulette with the lives of current and future residents of Manteno. Bravo.
It's.
I don't know how you guys have all seemed to have lost your way on this, but please be reassured that we the people are coming in to help.
We will fight.
We the people are working to rectify this perilous situation. And unlike you, we will be transparent, as we already are, and forthcoming in our actions. We're not cowards, we won't hide, and we will stand up for what is right. We the people would love it if you would stand and fight with us. You look at us as if we're the enemy. We are not the enemy. Every American should be against this.
Yep.
But it shouldn't be us against you and them. But if we can't count on your support to protect this community, this county, this state, this nation that we love, don't worry. We the people, we've got you. Because we want every single person in our nation, our community, our county, and our state to be safe and healthy. Thank you.
7740, 9,000 North Road.
She says you all should resign.
Good evening. My name is Donna Tierney from Whitaker, Grant Park, Illinois. I'm here tonight to strongly oppose the CCP Chinese plant, Goshen plant, from coming to Manteno. I think you've made a bad deal for us. I hope you can rectify it, reverse course, and I want to thank all the folks here tonight standing with us against Goshen and ask that you join us. Mr. Mayor and the board, shame on you. No Goshen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Marina Fisher, no address listed.
Hello, community. Mayor, I didn't see you at the parade this year.
Yeah.
I moved here to Manteno 8 years ago. This is my son. He's grown up here. And now, unfortunately, I won't be able to give my son, he's 1 year old, the same opportunities. Football, show choir, soccer, all the opportunities I'm sure that your children have also collected in. You're ruining his opportunities and opportunities to our future children as you're jeopardizing everyone's health and well-being, allowing them to destroy our resources with your money-blind decisions.
Yes.
My question for you, board, is what will be your after statement when we have a Manteno documentary for after effects because of this decision of yours?
That concludes the public participation portion of the meeting, and we'll be moving on with the rest of our board meeting.
I'm gonna turn my back on the mayor, split, I'm gonna leave.
The village president's report, the only item I have on the agenda tonight is the resolution 2304, which is a resolution approving a professional service agreement with HR Green in connection with providing professional engineering services from time to time for the village of Manteno. As you know, Bruce, the gentleman that we hired from the engineering firm before, has moved to a different company. This is solidifying those agreements with that company on an hourly basis.
Sportsmen.
And it'll be on the consent agenda later on in the meeting. I'm going to have any questions in regards to the, I think we discussed this at the board meeting, at the committee meeting. Village administrator's report, Mr.
I have nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry, one other thing. The tax rebate, property tax rebate forms are available. I don't know if you want to comment on that, but they're available. They've got, need to be filled out by October 31st.
Correct.
People, single-family home residents to be able to apply for their tax rebate. Obviously, you remember this is the second year we've done this where Manteno rebates the homeowners all the taxes that go to the village of Manteno. So while we are trying to combat the high property taxes, it's not the problem of the village because anybody is receiving those 100% of that tax back in their tax rebate that they have to fill out. I'm sorry, village president's or village administrative report, Mr. Ross.
No, nothing this evening, Mayor. I have nothing this evening.